timing and connection. So during this webinar, I'm going to talk about when I give my dog their cues, as far as in relation to the obstacle, in relation to the dog's path, where I like to give my dog's cues, and also why I like to give those cues there. When we are running our dogs in agility, timing and connection are two of the things that we hear over and over and over again, right? Whether it's in class, whether it's at seminars, most instructors will tell you, you're late, or you're early, things like that, and to stay connected to your dog. So during this webinar, I want to talk about where that timing is, where I want to see my cues happen, and why I want them there. And then we're also going to talk in the second half of the webinar, we're going to talk about connection, what connection is from my point of view, and then what it looks like. A lot of times we talk about you need to connect to your dog or you need to stay connected, but we're going to look at some videos and I'm going to talk about where that connection is and what it looks like and why we need it. So first thing we're going to look at is our cue timing. So first of all, what is a cue? So a cue is what we are telling our dog to do. It can be a directional, such as out, switch, tight, or it can be an obstacle name. In the case of this picture, Allie going over a jump, it could be, to go jump, go walk it, go weave, any of those. All of those things are cues. I like to use the term cue instead of command. A command, it seems like we sometimes get in our head when I say, okay, you're going to give this command. We tend to get really firm with it, and we tend to make it come out as you will do this. I like to say cue because I feel like that is what we're doing. We are cueing our dogs to do a certain behavior, whether that is a directional behavior or it is an obstacle behavior. We're cueing our dogs to do this. And I feel a cue comes across much softer. We want to cue our dog for this directional, not tell them we'll do that directional. And it makes our frame of mind a little bit different. And so I like to use the word cue just to make things in our head a little bit softer. So a cue for me, like I said, is going to be directional or obstacle. So my directional cues, out means to move out away from me. Go means to move, go straight line. Here means towards me, and switch means to turn away from me. So those are my directional cues. Obstacle cues, I have little to none. I do say walk it for the dog walk and pulls for the weave pulls, and that is pretty much it. Sometimes when I get super stressed and for some reason I don't think something's going to happen, I might yell out jump or tunnel just for reasons unknown. But as far as honest obstacle cues, I just have pretty much it's walk it for my contacts, pulls for my weave pulls. So why is timing important? So timing is important. One, we want to tell our dogs where to go, and they need that information as soon as they can. And to create a nice, clean, efficient path, our timing needs to be when the dog needs it. Now, this is where I feel that sometimes cues and timing can be a little gray because each dog is different. So the dog in this picture right here, this is Allie, and she likes her cues extremely early. And I have my older dog, Nargle. She tends to like her cues closer to the pieces of equipment. I prefer, me personally, I prefer to give my cues as soon as possible. I like to give my cues for all my directionals and obstacles at least a stride and a half, if not 2 strides ahead of the obstacle. I want my dog to know as soon as possible what they are doing next. So why do I want it so early? I want my cues early because for me, a huge thing is extension and collection. So if I wait, as we look at, let's look at this picture of Allie here. And in this picture, she is collected. I happen to know where she's going after this picture. I know it's a collected sequence, but also her feet are nice and tucked up. She's not out in front of herself. She's collected, and she's going to be making a turn over this jump. If I were to tell her a cue, and I'm going to come into this next slide that has a diagram here. Now, when we look at this diagram, so 1, 2, switch into the tunnel, 4, 5. Now, I need my dog from 2 to 3 to collect, right? Now, if I don't tell her, let's say she is just running as fast as she can, and I don't tell her her switch cue until she's almost taking off for this jump. Her front feet are leaving the air, and I've yelled switch at her. Now, she's in full extension. So I have now cued this so late that she is now in full extension. She's going to land over this jump in full extension and then make this wide turn to the tunnel. I want my dogs to know back here, you are collecting and turning, so that when she comes into this jump, she is collected, she is ready for the turn, her spine is bending, she is ready to make this turn, and now I get efficient path from inside wing of jump into tunnel. And not only is that going to help my time, right? An efficient path means a more efficient time, a faster time, but it also, efficient paths on the agility course create easier paths. If we were to pretend, I'm going to take my little marker here, if we were to pretend there's another jump out here, right? And if my dog is fully extended and she doesn't get her switch until right as she's taking off, she's landing way out here, right? So this jump becomes a high possibility, or maybe it's a tunnel, so the dog's going to, tunnel suck into that. And then she's way out wide to create kind of a funky angle into this tunnel. The more efficient path follows this nice curve into the tunnel, and that's what I want. So I really want my dogs to take that efficient path, not just from a time point of view, but I also want it for the health of the body. I want my cues to be as timely as I can. What I've also found myself as I work through the timing of my cues is when they're early like this, right? When I'm not trying to time it up here by this jump, but I'm timing it back here, I found it's easier on myself. I feel like I have a little bit more time. And if I'm late, if I'm giving my cues 2 strides before this jump, if I'm late, then maybe that cue comes out a stride and a half, or even a stride. But my dog still has that stride to collect and make that turn. So I have found my handling likes the earlier cues because it puts me in a place that I've given the cue for this tunnel. I can then get myself into position to pick up my next sequence, which is going to be this 3 to 4. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And how I teach the cues, that comes back to commitment, which is a webinar I did back in September, actually. And it's going to be a topic of a series of videos that will be coming out soon. Is part of giving this cue timing to where you're having your cues come out 2 strides or so ahead of this piece of equipment is commitment. Because I want my dogs to know where they're going. I'm going to give that switch command, and they may be a stride and a half to 2 strides before that jump. They know, and this is a whole nother webinar, but they know I'm going to take that jump, make my turn. And it gives them that information so far ahead of time that they're like, yes, I know where I'm going. I have found most dogs, fast dogs, love to have their cues that early, in my opinion, because they do know where they're going. They can collect, they can extend, they can pick a line, make a decision for themselves, and off they go. And dogs who maybe are a little slower, when they start hearing those cues coming out so early and they can focus ahead and go, oh, okay, yeah, I'm taking this jump and then that tunnel, they start speeding up because they know where they're going. So having that kind of timing is perfect, in my opinion, for not just your fast dogs, but also for maybe the slower dog who need that information sooner. And it'll help speed them up and help build that drive and that focus forward. I also like to have the timing of my cues back here because I want my dogs to pick a line that works best for them physically and mentally. A lot of times if we're waiting until the dog is on top of this jump right here, we're forcing a line upon them, right? If we're waiting, they're in full extension, then we yell switch and they go, oh my gosh, okay, here I try to do this. If I let my dogs know way back here what they're doing, my dog can then pick the line that's best for their body. Maybe my dog is uncomfortable today. Maybe her shoulder is sore, and I don't know this. But she's going to get her cue back here where my pencil is, and instead of her coming to this outside wing and making a real turn into that tunnel, she could very easily go, okay, my shoulder hurts a little bit. I know where I'm going. I'm going to pick the line that works for me. So she'll stay to the outside wing of this number 2 and slice into that tunnel as opposed to making a turn into that tunnel. I want my dogs, in my opinion, I want my dogs to do as much thinking for themselves as possible. I want to let them know where they're going and why, and I want them to pick how to get there. I have found letting my dogs have that level of independence as well as building that confidence creates good confidence skills, and it also helps create really nice distance skills. When your dogs start knowing further and further and further ahead where they're going, they build more confidence, more independence, and they're like, yes, okay, now I know where it is I'm going. And with all my training, anyone who's trained with me multiple times will hear me say all the time that I do what works best for the dog, whether that's my weave pull training, contact training, jumping, doesn't matter what it is. I have a base that I use, but my dog runs the show. They tell me what they want to do. So it's the same thing with the cues and these lines here. I let my dogs choose this. I'm telling them early enough that they can see where it is they're going, but depending on my dog's body type and mentally where they are in their training, maybe they're young, maybe they're older, maybe they're feeling insecure that day, they can pick the line that works best for them. So we're going to go back to this first slide, and we kind of already touched on that. Build confidence and distance with proper cue timing. Excuse me. So proper cue timing builds that confidence. Okay, so we're going to go back to our diagram. And we're going to look in here, and let's say, we're still doing this 1-3 sequence, okay? And let's say you forgot, and you forgot about doing the switch to 3. So you go 1, 2, and you thought you were coming over here to this yellow line, which let's pretend it's a jump. So you thought you were going here, and then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, wait, no, I meant the tunnel, right? And we've all done that to our dogs. We're like, wait, I'm sorry. Into the tunnel we go. And what the dog learns is that sometimes those cues don't always mean what they think they mean. Sometimes go actually means switch, right? That's one of the big lectures I give to all my distance students. When you want to start increasing your distance skills and you want to start building that confidence, stop fixing things. And that's again a whole different class and a whole different webinar. But you want to build that confidence, and proper cue timing really helps to build that confidence. And so when I'm giving my cues back here, again, we touched on this already. When I'm giving cues back here, it's really telling my dog, okay, here's where we're going, and this is how it's happening. So I'm going to pause for 1 second because I feel like someone is trying to access the classroom right now. I was going to see if there's any way I can get them into the classroom soon enough. Yes, so if we can hold for 1 second while I send them the link, I am really sorry. I thought I would have at least one latecomer. Only take me 1 second, then we'll move into our video work. Okay, there we go. So that should clean up that. All right, so I want to go back to this slide here. So that is why I do what I do with my cues, as far as when it comes to timing, when it comes to giving them early enough, all that sort of good stuff. I want to go into this YouTube video. Unfortunately, what I cannot do with this webinar software is mute my YouTube video. So you are going to hear Allie barking. And I will kind of try to talk over it as best I can. It will not let me lower the volume or anything. So you are going to hear some of the sounds that are in the YouTube video themselves. So this video, I'm kind of get her going. What this video is, it is showing myself working with Allie, and I'm building commitment. What I would like you guys to kind of watch is this is a progression of me increasing my cue timing with her. So how I work on my commitment skills, this is from my commitment webinar. How I work on my commitment skills is I start with a hoop wrap, and I'm sending her to the hoop wrap and then moving away, and you're going to see me continue to add more and more distance to this hoop wrap, and see how I'm sending her and then moving away. And I'm going to pause it here once I send. So oh, and you can't see it when I pause it. Never mind, I guess we won't do that. So when you watch the recording of this, pause it, and you can see where she is heading one way and I'm heading the other. And that is part of me building up her commitment skills. So I'm giving her a strong cue. So right here, I'm cueing the hoop wrap and then bringing her back to me. And this is just working on her commitment to learn to go to the hoops, even though I'm starting to move and turn. But you can see my timing with my cues. Right here, I'm saying here, and she's still a stride and a half to 2 strides ahead of a piece of equipment. So that's kind of what I want to work on with them, is that they learn that I'm giving those cues, that stride and a half to 2 strides, and she learns how to continue on to that hoop. Okay, and now here's the turn. So our next diagram, that was our diagram. So let's talk about connection. And I have a couple of videos we're going to take a look at while we do the connection work. So what is connection? So connection is you and your dog are connected. So what does that mean? So how I look at it is I want to be connected to my dog, and that means that they are getting 100% of my engagement and my focus. Now, there's a large difference between engagement and focus. And if you follow, I highly recommend checking out Denise Fenzi's blog. It's not an agility blog, but she talks a lot. She has a lot of obedience, and she talks a lot about engagement versus focus. She has some really, really nice articles in there. 1, how to teach engagement, and 2, what the difference is. So in my opinion, here's the difference. If I'm engaged with you, I'm talking to you. I am making eye contact with you, and 100% of my focus is with you. I hear nothing else. I'm doing nothing else. You and I are engaged. Now, that's engagement, okay? And I'm connected to you. Now, focus, I could totally be looking at you and talking to you, thinking about what's going on over there, right? And I'm looking at you, and I'm focused, right? We're walking a course together, or you're talking to me about something. I'm focused on you, but I'm not engaged with you. And that's the difference between those two things. So when I connect with my dog, I want 100% engagement between me and my dog, which means that I am connected with them. It is just the 2 of us. I don't hear what's going on outside the ring. I don't hear other dogs barking. It is me and my dog, and we are connected, and we're engaged with each other. I'll have students that come out and be like, oh my gosh, I couldn't remember where to go on this turn because I kept hearing the dog barking over in the crating area. Then we need to work on the engagement and connection between you and your dog, because I don't want you to hear anything. When you're out there running your dog, it should just be you and your dog. Here's the next jump, here's the next jump, here's the next jump. Okay? And so what does that look like? Big thing for me is I want to always have my dog. I want to always see my dog, right? They're always kind of in the peripheral. I don't ever want to make eye contact. The only time I make eye contact with my dog is if I need them now. So let's say a wing wrap, something like that, where I'm gonna make eye contact, and I'm gonna right at them, right at their eyes, and then I'm gonna look at where I want them to go, because I need that turn, that connection, that I want you to look at me. For the most part, we'll use this picture of Allie. For the most part, when I'm looking at my dog, I'm kind of looking their ears here, maybe their shoulder. I try to kind of look up into their nose if I'm trying to lead them somewhere, right? Like I'm looking, here's where I want you to go. But I always should have my dog. If they are lateral to me and we're moving together, right, laterally, they should always kind of be here in my peripheral. I should always have them here. If they are out in front of me, I should have them. That is maintaining that connection. That's maintaining that engagement. Okay? So we're going to watch a video, and again, you're going to hear all the video noise, but I'm going to try to talk over it. And I don't remember which video is which, what I've got going on here. Okay, so this is, I'm going to pause this. I'm going to talk about that video. So that is a sequence that I did for an online class of mine. I'm just showing different ways you can do switches and different ways to handle things. What I want you to watch, and I'm going to play it and then I'm going to play it again, is watch where I'm looking and look at how I grab the dog, right? So this is those tight turns I was talking about, where I look and then look where I want my dog to go. If I'm in a position where I am ahead of my dog slightly, as you'll see in this YouTube video, I want to look at my dog and then look where I want him to go, right? I'm taking, my eyes should always be looking at where, grab you, that's where I want you to go. Hopefully that makes sense. I never get too far ahead of my dog that they're not in that peripheral, because we want to stay connected. If I get so far ahead of my dog that I'm looking here and I have no dog, I've disconnected, right? We're too far ahead. So let's watch this. So as you'll see my head, the whole time I'm giving him cues as to where he's supposed to go, and even on that run there, I'm still connected with him. So this is Allie. Same thing. You're going to see me grab her. My head is watching her the whole time and picking her up. So that's the connection we're looking for, is I'm grabbing her, and even here I'm ahead of her, I grab her eyes and look. So let's go ahead, I'm going to play that one more time. And it's all about keeping eye contact and maintaining eye contact with her. No, this is him, sorry. There, so I'm maintaining that eye contact, and then look where I want him to go for those tight turns. So I grab and look, grab and look. And it should be subtle. Very good. So hopefully that makes sense. The next video I'm going to play, so this next video is from a camp I did in Laramie. And it has some I really like some of the little clips that are in there that shows some nice connection. So we're going to go ahead and play that next as well. It'll play. Oh, and there's an intro. I'm sorry. I meant to fast forward to it. It should just get going. Here we go. So what you're going to see me do is see how I'm even like, okay, I lost my train of thought. We're going to go back a little bit. So even on this blind cross, I'm sending her and grabbing, connect, send, and you'll see me connect and grab. Especially in that turn right there, and we're going to rewind it, in that turn right there, I could have easily just taken off and run for that tunnel, but I want to make sure I'm maintaining that connection. Right here, I send, maintain that connection, and still getting where I need to be, but maintain that connection again. This dang double blind gets me every time. But it's all about connection. And this, I am extremely late, but you'll see me cue and connect. So when we talk about connection, that's what I'm looking for. Is that it doesn't mean that you're staring at your dog. It doesn't mean that you're making direct eye contact, although just like you saw in those videos, we want eye contact for some things. It's about maintaining the frame of mind, the state of mind of, here's my dog, this is where you go, here's my dog, this is where you go. And that for me is it's a huge thing with agility, is connection. So many times, we just had a trial last weekend where I watch handlers and dogs, and it's strictly a lack of connection. Something happened, the dog maybe didn't do their contact performance properly, right? And so then our brain goes into, should I train that? Should I not train that? What should I do? But we've already moved on. But your head is now here, and you're not thinking about what's happening here, and so then the whole run goes to pot, and we blame the contact. When in reality, it's because our head is still thinking about the contact. It's not so much the behavior of the contact itself, that missing the contact. It's the fact that we're not connected and engaged with our dog anymore. And that's where things start getting jumbled. So one of the big exercises I like to practice with my dogs, and then it's more for me than it is my dogs, are sequences where my whole focus is, I need to look at you to bring you here. I need to send you out there. Maintain, 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 right? And the focus of that exercise is strictly me. I need to maintain that engagement and maintain that connection throughout this whole sequence, and learn how to shift my connection. And that's a big thing that happens with people as well, is that we don't learn to shift our connection. So For instance, with that blind cross with Allie, right? I connected, I brought her to my side, but then I'm looking at her, right? Because I've connected, I've made eye contact because here, I need you to come right here. I've made that eye contact, and sometimes we can't let it go. So we keep holding eye contact through the rest of the course. We want to look at our dogs right in the face. And we need to be able to shift our levels of connection. So sometimes, yes, I'm going to look at my dog right in the face. I want you here, but then shift your connection. Now you're looking at their ear, right? You're not making that direct eye contact. Most dogs don't like direct eye contact because it is very much, if I'm looking at you and I'm making like staring at you, it makes you feel kind of like, oh, back off a little bit. So I like to work with my dogs that when I make eye contact, it means you here now. So I use it a lot for tight spaces, tight turns. Wing wraps is the big thing I use it for. That as they're coming around that wing, I make eye contact with them and then send them on their way. For NADAC around barrels, if you're doing a barrel wrap, as they're coming around the end of that barrel, you make eye contact and send them out, if it's a real tight turn. The more distance you have, obviously they're further away. You can't make a lot of eye contact. But it's not so much that you have to see the whites of their eyes, is that you are connecting with the dog. So you're looking at their head, connecting with where they need to go. So far, do we have any questions? This is going fairly fast because most people signed up for this webinar and they're actually going to watch it later. So do we have any questions that are happening, or do you guys want to watch any of the videos again? Or are we doing all right before we go into our next little thing? I'm gonna go back into cue timing for a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit more about that. And I think that's yes for our next slide. So if you have any questions, make sure and put them over here in the little chat box. So we're going to talk about cue timing just a little bit more here. And I want to build upon what we talked about right here with building distance, or building confidence and distance with the cue timing. So when I talk about, don't fix things, what I mean by that is if something's happening and you know it's something you've done, right? You miscued something, you meant to say switch, but you really needed to say here, or you said switch, but you meant to say here. What ends up happening is, if let's say we'll use that as an example. Let's bring up our diagram again. Let's say that, you actually needed to go 1, 2, and to 5. Okay, but in the previous course you went 1, 2 and switched into the tunnel. So you think that's where it needs to go. 2, and you're about to switch into the tunnel, and then you realize, oh my gosh, wait, no, you needed to come down here to 5. So what ends up happening with the dog is the dog hears the switch, they react to the switch, they go off the switch, and then the handler says, no, that's wrong, come back. And even though in our heads we're saying, I'm sorry, my bad, I'm a terrible handler. What ends up happening with that is that the dog doesn't know that we're saying we're sorry. The dog doesn't know that we're off course. They didn't know that it's our fault. All the dog hears from it is, okay, well, she said switch, but it's wrong. She actually wants me to go this way. So then on the next course, when you give that same cue, when you say here, the dog's going to look at you and be like, are you sure? Because last time you made me go the other way and we had to reset. So I'm extremely well known for the fact I don't fix things. If I have miscued something, or I am late, or something has happened and my dog has taken the cue that I have given and they are driving for that yellow line, but I actually need them to go into the tunnel, I let it happen. Right? And I try to find a way to bring them around, get myself back on course so I can get out of there. But I tend to let it happen because I will gain 10 cues down the road for every one that I lose doing that. You will build so much more confidence with your dog. Your distance skills will improve so much more when you stop fixing things and let your dog trust your cues. And if you've done any online classes, you will hear that over and over and over. You have to let your dog trust your cues. That's the biggest thing with distance and confidence in general, is they have to trust those cues. So once my dog understands what switch means, if I miscue it and I said switch, but I really needed to go this yellow jump and I forgot, I'm going to let my dog do the tunnel. I want to break into that trust. I want my dog to trust those cues and go with those cues and know that that's what it means. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So I think that just about wraps us up for this webinar. If you guys have any questions, be sure and put them in the chat box below. For those that are watching this as a recorded webinar, you're watching it the next day or later or whatever the case may be, which FYI, it'll take me, for those who are here live, I will need to download this whole webinar and then re-upload to YouTube. So I'll probably be sending out the links either later tonight, depending on how fast all that happens, or tomorrow morning. But everybody, whether you came and watched it live or whether you're purchasing the recorded version, if you have any questions about what we've talked about this evening, you have videos that you'd like me to take a look at, anything like that, please be sure to go, if you have a Facebook account, you can join the Fluid Motion Training Group. And if you can't find it, email me and I will send you a link. I answer any questions in that group in relation to any webinars that you've purchased, or if you've been in past classes with me, anything like that. When you post that group, I will answer personally in there. So if you have any questions about anything we've talked about this evening, or if you have some videos you'd like me to take a look at about timing or connection or anything like that, be sure to post in that group. And sometimes it's better if you tag me as well so I don't miss it. And I'll be able to answer everything in there. If you feel like you want more personalized feedback, or you'd like to spend some time doing some private lessons with me, I offer online private lessons as well. If you go to www.fluidmotionagility.com, you will see a tab that says online learning, and you can click on that, and all my online classes, private lessons, everything is on there. All right. Again, I'd like to thank all of you for coming. This is fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording and hope to see you all at the next webinar.